It's World War III watch. Let's just face it. It's already started. I'm here with co-host Jay Scott. We're looking at this potential invasion, the surrounding of Venezuela by Trump's administration. It's an imperialist agenda. Trump happens to be the face of the operation right now, but make no mistake, at least half the country's gotten convinced that President Maduro is the exception to the war machine, the exception. So anybody who knows that we're up to no good in the Middle East, a lot of people were convinced that, oh, Maduro is this drug lord, not a legitimate president, and we need to take him out because, he's responsible for the cartel, not our CIA. We're not the ones responsible for it. So after Trump has surrounded Caracas with Marines up to 4,000 in like 7 different vessels, ready for combat, literally threatening a ground invasion, Maduro put together basically a movement on the ground, a militia. We've heard numbers from at least 100,000 up to 4 million. That might be a massive exaggeration, but even 100,000 is nothing compared to, I mean, it's the 4,000 Marines are not going to be number wise. They're going to be in over their head against even just 100,000 militia citizens.
Trump is trying to tell us that Venezuela, which has the most proven oil reserves in the world, is sitting on all of this oil. Yet he decided that he wanted to start selling cocaine instead of the legal natural resource that's already on his ground. That's what we're supposed to believe.
And of course, Trump will never mention the oil, but we know better. So this is from BBC. Trump says 11 killed in U.S. strike on drug-carrying vessel from Venezuela. Trump says the U.S. has carried out a strike against the drug-carrying vessel in southern Caribbean, killing 11 narco-terrorists, in quotes. He posted on social media that Tuesday's U.S. military operation had targeted members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Now, Trump says the vessel was in international waters and was transporting illegal narcotics bound for the U.S. Oh, is that what he said? Well, that's convenient. Okay, yeah, so the Trump administration has,
and that's all the evidence we need. His word. That's all the evidence we need.
That's all we need. He says so. So hey, trust the science, Jay. Trust the science, right? Trust your overlords. They know what's best for you. Don't question them. The Trump administration has ratcheted up military and political pressure against Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro in recent weeks, including, and this reminds you guys, he put a $50 million bounty on his head, leading to his arrest. The President Maduro, the president of Venezuela, there's a bounty on his head for $50 million for drug trafficking charges that, again, Trump said, therefore it's true. And of course, Maduro has vowed Venezuela would fight any attempted U.S. military intervention, which he should, and he's doing that very well. And he's by the way, Maduro has survived many coups initiated by the U.S. government, by the military imperialist mafia. We've tried it 1,000 times. John Bolton has told us this. John Bolton famously went on CNN back right after January 6th and was asked point blank, this was an insurrection, right? Right? That's what we brought you on here to tell our viewers that January 6th was an insurrection. And John Bolton says, no, not really. Let me tell you about an insurrection. It's called Venezuela, and it actually failed. So he admitted to failure, but said, no, that's what it looks like. We planned it in advance. There's a blueprint on the ground, people going with guns. And then CNN's like, whoa, we didn't. All right, we're going to cut to a commercial. You weren't supposed to tell us that. So we know that we've done this before. Miraculously, Maduro is still alive. He has not been killed. Chavez died of cancer. He was not killed either before him. Both survived this. So I have a high regard for Venezuela's ability to protect itself, but this is pretty insane that we're going all out in this one. Now, look, obviously we looked closer at this. BBC's just they're just the messenger. BBC saying, here's what Trump said, and that's the story. Well, clearly there's more to the story. Let's start with Code Pink's reaction, because this was pretty sharp. Code Pink fiercely condemns the illegal and reckless U.S. missile strike that killed 11 people on a vessel allegedly carrying drugs from Venezuela. Even if Washington's claims are accurate, drug trafficking does not justify a death sentence delivered by a missile. Very good moral compass. Good job on that, Code Pink. With the U.S. Southern Command assets already deployed in the region, why blow up a vessel instead of capturing and interrogating the crew? Interesting question. If the goal were really to uncover evidence of Maduro's alleged involvement, this reckless approach raises only two possibilities. Either the narrative is fabricated and Washington used it as a pretext for a deadly show of force, or it's real and the U.S. chose extrajudicially killing over law, evidence, and humanity. That's a great question, and well said, Code Pink. Adam Immediate chimes in and says, this is a false flag alert. The so-called drug boat strike footage carries no data or coordinates. It carries no cargo that was recovered. So there's no cargo that was recovered, no crew identified, no proof shown linking it to Venezuela. The U.S. erased the evidence while running a naval cordon around the country. That sounds pretty accurate, right? Spot on, Adam Media. Let's hear another take on doubling down on this false flag premise, which it looks like it might have been. And then I'll let you chime in here, Jay. We'll listen to this real quick here. So President Trump stated that U.S. forces had attacked a drug-laden ship from Venezuela. Then Secretary Rubio tweeted it was a lethal strike, warning that what's coming for Venezuela isn't smoke, but fire. Shortly after, Trump released a video of the alleged attack. That's the video. He claimed it occurred in international waters and the vessel belonged to this Venezuelan gang. But this raises serious doubts. The video lacks, as Copink says, it lacks any sort of coordinates. It doesn't give you any information. What day? What's even happening on the ship? There's nothing. Military action taken out of context. So the U.S. authorities don't specify the type or amount of drugs or how they even link the suspects to this gang. So there's many questions. They have 8 warships, 1,200,000 missiles and troops, nuclear sub in the Caribbean. That's the other thing. One of those. So there were 7 regular ships, and then the 8th one was a nuclear sub. That's what he set up in advance. So again, it's a great question of why would you just take these apparently 11 people out and then not show us any evidence? So she goes on for that. So people are suggesting this could be a false flag. What's your take on this, Jay?
I mean, my take is we see the same pattern, like every single time, there's a supposed threat. We've been directly involved with the creation, of that threat. So whether or not it's a false flag smells like it, to me. However, what I would say is that Maduro himself has pointed out that, he has they're a problem, within Venezuela, and he's been trying to crack down on them. So they seem to be causing his regime, a ton of problems over there. So how is it that he could be using them, to fight us if they're causing all these problems, in Venezuela? And again, if you look at how the majority of drugs get into the country, I would assume that's through Mexico, through the cartels. And, we have direct links, with all the top dogs over there. So it's we don't find out until 10 years after the fact most of the time. So maybe around 2035, it'll come out that the CIA was working with Tren de Aragua, and we'll have the actual proof. Right now, all we have to go on is Maduro's word, it seems like, and the fact that they're causing problems within the country. However, with El Chapo, we had a non-prosecution agreement with him where he would essentially give up information on his rivals so we could make these huge drug busts and claim we're fighting the war on drugs by arresting his competition as his gang continued to grow. So, this is a pattern that was seen before El Chapo. You have that other guy, El Señor de los Cielos, Pablo Escobar, has been linked to the CIA. I was born in Jamaica. There was a big extradition of a drug dealer by the name of Dudas Coke in the early, a bit around 2010. And he was the leader of the same gang that the CIA armed and funded during the
Mhm.
1960s and 70s who shot at Bob Marley. So, again and again, we prop up the people, like who we wind up fighting, and we just use them as an excuse to implement whatever agenda, we have. So again, my guess is yes, it's a false flag. Smells like it. So yeah, that's pretty much the same pattern we see again and again.
And it's really sad that you have so many people. Well, I don't see anybody in left-wing circles talking about this at all. They don't know what to make of it. I don't see them using it as when they do their daily complaining about Trump. They never mentioned Venezuela. I think it's like over their heads of comprehension.
Yeah.
And then on the right, it's really sad because even the people that get the Israel thing right, they like to say, oh, well, this is Venezuela is not really a imperialist operation. We really do have to stop Maduro. He really did do some bad stuff, and he's not legitimate, and they're fine. So it's like it's so weird to pick and choose that. Because it's Latin America? It's not because we've spent a lot of time and energy and focus looking at the Middle East and looking at how we've been played so much over our lifetimes in the Middle East. Like they let this one go because it's just one of them. It's kind of like how the Democrats do with Ukraine, right? Well, that's legit. That's legit, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing about the right. They have trouble, I guess, separating what's good for some of them. Let me not generalize, but some of them have trouble separating what's good for American corporations versus what's good for American people. And they'll say overthrowing Venezuela is good for America, but what they mean is overthrowing Maduro is good for corporations, American corporations.
That's exactly right.
Who were owned by a tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of people. And what people should, I guess, focus on, like in this situation, is how neither the Democrats nor the Republicans are really talking about how our foreign policy is playing a role in this crisis. The Democrats talk about how great, we have to treat, undocumented workers and illegal immigrants once they're inside the country, but they don't talk about why they're coming. And Republicans complain about illegal immigration all the time, yet they won't acknowledge that there isn't a single country that we get a substantial amount of immigrants from that wasn't destabilized directly by us or by one of our allies. So this really is a situation both the left and the right should agree on. Let's stop bombing other people. Let's figure out who's coming in and out, and let's have an immigration strategy that makes sense for America. And we can always talk about ways to help build up the rest of the world. But the best place to start is to stop overthrowing other people's governments just because they don't want to enrich American corporations, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. And to circle back what you said in the beginning of this segment, Jay, regarding the oil in Venezuela, just to be absolutely clear, guys, if this has been hard for you to register and you still think that this is some exception that we're really going after drug trafficking and cartels and we have to stop this illegitimate president, I'm going to let General Laura Richardson is going to explain it to you about these precious raw materials that we have. She calls it the lithium triangle. It's in Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, and Venezuela. We're not just talking oil. We're talking gold. We're talking it's 31% of the planet's fresh water. And she's calling this a national security interest. No mention of democracy. No mention of stopping gangs. This is our foreign policy. Hear it directly from her mouth, and you can apply this across the board. And it doesn't matter if it's Biden or Kamala or Bush or Cheney or Trump or Obama. They're all following the same policy of stealing these raw materials all over the planet and calling it a national security issue. Here we go.
Talk to my number two adversary in the region, Russia. I mean, I've got, of course, the countries, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua with Russia relationships. But why this region matters, with all of its rich resources and rare earth elements. You've got the lithium triangle, which is needed for technology today. 60% of the world's lithium is in the lithium triangle: Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. You just have the largest oil reserves, light sweet crude, discovered off of Guyana over a year ago. You have Venezuela's resources as well with oil, copper, gold. We have the Amazon, lungs of the world. We have the 31% of the world's fresh water in this region too. I mean, it's just off the charts. We have a lot to do. This region matters. It has a lot to do with national security, and we need to step up our game.
We need to step up our game. It's national security interest. We need to go take these resources because we deserve them and they don't, and we will wreak havoc on them if they don't cooperate in our theft of those resources. That's the game plan in all of these regions. That's it. It's right there.
And I know just a man for the job, Matt. How about Eric Prince? Because, he donated a lot to the Trump campaign. He has a great resume. He did all that excellent work for us in Afghanistan that Julian Assange helped him advertise. Like, does anyone remember when we had helicopters bombing first responders, doctors and nurses trying to save people who were killed? Well, that was Eric Prince's group. And guess what? Trump is already ahead of the game. He's making sure his buddy Eric Prince gets all the contracts to protect the resources in the Congo, which is being destabilized again by forces we back. And then what do you know? Trump's donors get the contracts to protect the resources that like he's threatening in the first place. So, this is the game, man. And, I'll never forget, we've already played it, so we don't need to play the clip again. But this same guy, Eric Prince, goes around in interviews talking about how African and Central American and South American countries can't manage themselves. And because they can't manage themselves, we need to go in and recolonialize them. That was exactly what he said. And most people will some conservatives may think I'm exaggerating and, like I'm putting words in his mouth. That's actually what he said. He said imperialism is good. It's beneficial for the people there. We need to do it. And guess what? If you pay me, I'll do it cheaper than the American military can do it. That's what he's saying. So, and that's who Trump's going with. And it's just a coincidence that he happens to be a big donor to Trump, him and his whole family. That's
it. And then at the same time, you got Palantir, you got Alex Karp and Peter Thiel talking about 3 front wars with Russia, China, Iran. I mean, we got the whole world surrounded now. So this is what Trump means by the best 8 months we've ever seen. He's talking about these alliances. He's talking about this type of power because that's how empires fall. They go out kicking and screaming. And this is what you call overextending militarily. And it's not sustainable. We know the game plan now. We just got to keep shouting about it. That's what we're doing here.
I'm starting to wonder if they're going to have to ditch Palantir's plans because they may be too ambitious because there's so much more resources in South America and Africa that if we waste all of our energy fighting those 3 guys, I don't know. I mean, I'm just interested in seeing how it's actually going to turn out because, man, they have some ambitious plans. So,
very ambitious, aiming high. That's what we were taught, right? Aim high in this life, right? Aim to take over the whole world. If you only end up with 2/3 of it, hey, it's still a success. It's still considered a success if you get 2/3 of the planet. Okay,
that's true.
There we go. That's true. All right, that's World War III. Watch, guys. That's it. And let's face it, it's already started. Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart would cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, it's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now.